The Pit Press Podcast.
Welcome to A Road to the Pit, a high school basketball journey. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. And as usual, I'm joined by my son, our co-host, a former St. Pius player and former St. Pius coach with Damian Segura, member of the 2013 St. Pius Boys Basketball Championship staff, beating the Albuquerque Academy. Also a producer and play-by-play broadcaster with ProView Networks. Coach Nunez, thanks for being here as always.
Coach, thanks for having me. Excited to speak with Coach Tom Adair about Farmington Lady Scorpions basketball.
Well, as you mentioned, our very special guest is Farmington Scorpions girls head coach Tom Adair, and we're going to get into some records here and how their team is doing. They're doing very well. The number one ranked Scorpions in District 2 5A. Coach, coming off a very tough loss to El Dorado the other night, but I thought was one of the more entertaining games that I had the pleasure of broadcasting. Coach, welcome to the broadcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, Coach, my son and I will go back and forth and ask you questions, but you're 21-3 on the season and 6-2 in District 2 5A, which is it's a loaded district. You know, it really is. You're ranked number one in Max Preps, ranked number one in the latest NMOT coaches poll. Big wins against Gallup, 57-41, against Las Cruces, 72-53, Oregon Mountain, 65-61, against Kirtland Central, 40-37, Hobbs, 46-45, beat Sandia. They also returned and beat you. You're coming up, we mentioned a tough loss to El Dorado, 72-68. Tell us more first about the Scorpions seasons up to this point, then we'll get to that El Dorado game, which I told you the other day. I told you yesterday that was one heck of a game. It really was. But tell us first about where the Lady Scorps are so far at this point of the season.
I think we're in a good place. I really feel the girls have come together this whole year. I returned 3 starters from last year. We had a really good season last year. We won our district, and like you said, District 2 and 5A. I think it's by far the strongest district overall in the state. I mean, we got 4 teams that are in the top 7, top 8 right now. And I feel the Quave ought to be higher than where they are, because they're any given night they can beat anybody. They've proven that by beating Hobbs. So we've got to be ready every night we step on the floor, and that's what I told the girls. You know, after we lost to Sandia, that was our first district game. We'd just come off beating Hobbs, and so we was on a pretty good roll, feeling good about ourselves, and they beat us. They're in their place, and I told the girls every game is a playoff game, and that's the case. And we've got La Cueva on Tuesday, and then Piedra Vista on Friday, and we've got to get better. And tomorrow in practice, we got to get better. So that's our biggest thing, because our ultimate goal is we do want that opportunity to play in the pit and win a state championship. Last year, we felt we came up short. We were seeded number 2, and we lost Las Cruces in overtime, and just made some mistakes. We had a good lead in the third quarter. I think we was up by 10, and then you guys know Brian, you know what the pit's like, Nick. So it's a different type of animal when you're in there, and it's just so we've really worked hard on our kids pulling together, being there for one another, play with poise, don't get frustrated. In a basketball game, you're going to face a lot of adversity, and there's a lot of ebbs and flows. So you can't let yourself get frustrated and get down. You just got to keep battling no matter what happens. And that's what I feel our girls have done. They really did it in Sandia not last week, but the week before on Friday. They really came together. We were down by 9 at the end of the third, and then in the fourth quarter, we just really came together. The kids were all lifting each other up and being positive with one another, and we just played really well in that last quarter against Sandia. And even though we came up a little short against El Dorado, I was really proud of how the girls rallied. We had 4 players foul out, so my bench stepped in and did a really nice job. And so I feel good about where we are. We just got to keep moving forward.
You mentioned Farmington, Sandia, La Cueva, El Dorado, and West Mesa in your district, and West Mesa having somewhat of a down year, but Coach Manny Otero has won a state championship. He knows what it's like as a player and as a coach. I remember when he was a member of the 93 Albuquerque High Bulldogs that won the championship there. You mentioned the pit. That's why the show is called A Road to the Pit. You mentioned it's what a special, magical place, man. That's all I could say. It really is to play a game, and it can overwhelm you. The moment can overwhelm a high school kid, 16 or 17 years old. It can overwhelm some, and then some have unbelievable performances. What's it like preparing for those teams in your district every night? You mentioned that. You've got great coaches, Marissa Kogan, Lee Kettig, Gary Ellis. We mentioned Manny Otero and yourself. What's it like preparing for those teams every night?
Joe Reed from Piedra Vista. Joe's a great coach.
Leave out Joe
Great
Reed,
job.
who also had some success at TV.
No, every night we know that we're going to get their best, and especially when you're ranked number one. You guys know that, Nick. I'm sure you know that from winning a state championship. You're going to get everyone's best every time you step on the floor, and so that's what we've been telling our girls. You've got to be ready, and you can't listen to the noise. You got to block out the negativity that's out there, because there is negativity, and so we've got to focus on each other and being positive with one another and make sure we get better and be teammates. I tell the girls their most important job is to love each other. My most important job and my assistants is to love them. And I'm doing this because I had coaches that made a difference in my life, and I want to make a difference in theirs. And winning is important, but I want to make sure each of our young ladies are good people, good citizens, and they understand the importance of getting a good education. School comes first. So we preach all those things. We preach the core values. I really believe if you live by those core values, then you're going to have happiness in your life. And yeah, we're going to get knocked down, but we're also going to be resilient and be able to bounce back from adversity. And that's what we want to do. From last Thursday, losing El Dorado, we want to be resilient and make sure we get better and stay focused on our goals and not let the little things drag us down.
You mentioned that about coaches. I just got one more question, and I'll turn it over to my son. But any coach Coach Woody at Highland says that all the time about good citizenship, togetherness. And my son played for Damian Segura, and I'm his father. But Damian Segura was like a second dad to my son. And Damian Segura, won 4 championships and was one of the best coaches in the state. No question, still is. So I think you're right about building good character. And that always any coach that's come on here has mentioned that. That's very important. I coached for a while back in the day at Highland. We've always tried to give back. Citizenship matters. It really does. Coach, tell us a little bit about that game. And we had a brief discussion about it yesterday. You went through some adversity. 4 players fouled out. Bella Hines was Bella Hines. With LSU right there, an LSU scout in the front row, Bella Hines went for 46. And, she's going to do that. She's going to do that. She's entertaining, right? She's going to put on a show. She did. But I thought what impressed me was Chioma Holyfield and Arndt nailing those free throws. They hadn't had a lot of chances to shine. They came through. It was a signature win for them. You'd beaten them earlier. But let's talk a little bit briefly. That's a classic game. It really is one of the classics that I've seen this year. But it
was a great game. And Gary Ellis and I are good friends. We coached against each other when he was at Hope Christian. I was at Bloomfield. We always went to the Hope Christian tournament. And then I would go to his summer, they called it Summer Fest, when he was at Hope. So I've known Gary a long time, and he's a coach that does what we were just talking about, building character in the kids. And he's getting the best out of all of his kids. One of his girls, Caitlin Lewis, I grew up with her uncles and her mom. They're from this area. So I'm born and raised here. So I grew up dreaming, wanting to walk down that ramp. And I never got to do it, but my brothers did. My older brother, Leland, he got to do it 3 times when Kirtland was 2A. And my younger brother, Lynn, was the first one to be part of a state championship team from Kirtland Central High School. So, my roots are here in New Mexico. And that game was exciting. And you're right, the Holyfield girl, his girl stepped up for him. I felt really good about my girls too, Ed, and I feel I got a special player in Capilani on Atelu, and she does everything. She does everything for us. She's a captain. She's a leader. She's plays great defense. I think she ended up with 28 points, 7 rebounds, 7 steals, 7 assists. She's a complete player, and I love how she makes everyone around her better. I returned to Leah Charlie, who had a very good game. She had 9 points Thursday against El Dorado, and had some key plays for us. And then Kajani, she's another returning starter for me. Anna Taylor, Capilani's little sister, and she had 16 points, 2 blocks, played a really good ball game for us. And then we had girls that had to come off the bench. I played 11 girls, and I felt all 11 played really well. They played good defense, and they kept their composure. And I love how the girls are really positive with each other and electric. And I just thought, even though we lost, I felt it helped us come closer together as a team, kind of bonded us. But there's 6 teams in 5A that can win state. Just legit. 4 of them come from our district, and El Dorado's one of them. And Gary's a great coach, and he'll have his kids ready to go. And it's just, when we do get to the pit, it's going to come down to who plays the best in the pit, and stays focused on each other and on our team goals, and not letting the atmosphere get to us or letting adversity bother us. That we've got to make sure that that we're on top of things, and that we can stay focused on what our job is.
Yes, sir.
Coach, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your coaching background before you got to Farmington. I actually called your game last year in the quarterfinals against Las Cruces and had a brief conversation with you the night before your game. I know your roots are in the Four Corners area. You've been coaching, correct me if I'm wrong, 37 years up in that area, various schools, different sports. But I wanted to ask you about your state championship run with the Bloomfield Bobcats in 2018. You guys took on Los Lunas and Coach Marty Zeller and the run that he had there. Talk a little bit about your road to the pit with that Bloomfield Bobcats team.
That was a special bunch of girls. I coached with some really special people too, Dal and Deb Payne. And then my nephew-in-law, Kyle Windward, was on my staff too. He married my niece. This is my 38th year of coaching. So I was part of 4 state championships in girls basketball at Kirtland in 1993, 94, 95, and 96. And then my brother and I won a state championship in Kirtland in track in 2001. And then Bloomfield, when I took that program over, I went there in 2012. The fall of 2012, I was JV coach to Devin Manning, who's the head coach at Kirtland now. And after 1 year, Steve Scott was our AD. He says, "You're taking over the girls program." So I said, okay. They hadn't won for a lot of years. And I stepped in that first year, and I think we won 4 games. And then we was able to build a good program. The next year, the following year, my second year, we made it to state. I lost to Santa Fe Indian School at their place. And then the third year, we lost to Portales in the pit. And then it just got better from there. But in 2018, I had a group of seniors that were just a special bunch. And then Hallie Payne, who's now really having a lot of success at Arizona Christian in Phoenix, Arizona. That was just a special bunch of girls. And they just knew how to play for each other. They just knew the game and understood it. We led Los Lunas that whole game until the last 2 minutes. I'm sure you remember that, Nick. And it was just an exciting game. Marty Zeller is a heck of a coach. He had a very good athletic team. They shot the ball real well. But just to be there and be part of that is pretty dang exciting, because Bloomfield hadn't played in a state championship game in girls basketball since 1984. So to be able to do that in 2018, Deb Payne, who was one of my assistants, she played in that game. And then her daughter started for us that year. And but yeah, that was an exciting run. And it was right there for us to win. If we have I think just one of those threes goes in at the end, we win the game. But they got up by 1, and then Marty stalled. He pulled it out, and we had to foul, and they made their free throws, and that's pretty much how it ended up.
Coach, talk about the passion for basketball in the Four Corners area. You're currently coaching at Farmington now. You had a heck of a run at Kirtland Central. It just seems the venues, I watched some footage of your games up in Farmington. It almost looks like there's not an empty seat at the gym. Kirtland Central games when they play Gallup, that place fills up. Just talk about the atmosphere up there and the passion for basketball in the Four Corners area.
It is very passionate here, and I'm glad you brought that up. I like we talked about when I coached at Kirtland in the 90s. That's when Kirtland and Shiprock had some classic battles, man, and gyms would sell out. I remember my son, he was just a third grader then, and I said, son, I don't think you're going to be able to get in. And he gets home from school and he rides his bike down there. So I had to let him in. He got in. So he got to watch the Shiprock Kirtland game. But no, it's passionate here. Our gym has been packed. We played Kirtland at home this year. Last year we played in Kirtland. Both times the gym sold out. So Kirtland seats over 3,000. I think we're right under 3,000. But it was packed. They had to close the gym and not let anybody else in. So it's exciting for the kids to be able to play in front of that crowd. A lot of our kids that go on to college, they don't get to play in front of those kind of crowds, when they go to junior college or to a NCAA Division II school. They don't get the crowds that we get here. But it is electric and everyone's passionate about it. Little kids start playing when they're 5 or 6. That's when I started my kids. They started playing KYA, Kirtland Youth basketball at 6 years old. So, and I coached my kids when they were little. So it is exciting here. And my older brother got us into it. And then my younger brother, Lynn, was the first one to be part of a state championship team at Kirtland in 1978. And in fact, they beat St. Pius that year, I think by 1 point, beat Academy by 1 point and beat NIMI by 1 point to win the state championship. So no, there's a lot of passion for basketball here in our area, and it's pretty neat. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, we'd drive out, no matter where we went, if it was the Shiprock area or down towards Gallup, every home has a basket out there. We had one at ours up on the willow tree, and we'd be shooting on that come rain or snow. It didn't matter. We was out shooting baskets.
Coach, wanted to ask you a little bit about the Anatelu sisters. You brought it up when you were talking about the game with Farmington. When I talked to you last year, you said that, there's 4 sisters. You didn't get to coach the oldest one. The second oldest one, Kamalani, was a senior for you last year. Kapiolani, a senior this year. And Kajani, a sophomore this year. But I think you were telling me that their dad gets up with them almost every morning around 5:30 a.m. and they just put the work in. Talk a little bit about their work ethic, Coach.
Yes, they have a great work ethic, and their dad is Ani and their mom is Candace, and they're both great people. Been very supportive of me and my program, which I really appreciate. And Kiani's the oldest one. She's playing at Adams State, doing quite well. Kamalani's playing at Northern Wyoming, doing quite well. And Kapilani, she's going to play somewhere. And then Kajani, her nickname's Bam Bam. She wants to play college ball somewhere too. So they're all passionate about basketball, and they do. They get up at 5. They go work out at the college. There's been times like we opened the gym at 5 in the preseason because that was the only way I could get gym time for them, because our boys would go in the evening and then we had volleyball and everyone using gym. So we would show up early in the morning, and Kapilani and Kajani, they were there most of the time. And then I had my other girls showed up. So it was a great turnout. Their passion is contagious, and the other girls feed off of it too, because they all want to be successful. They're very competitive. But they also have big hearts. They care about their teammates. They care about their family, their community. So it's been a pleasure to coach them.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Coach, I wanted to say about Kapilani, I think the other night went around the back on the one drive to the basket in the third quarter, went beautiful drive, put the ball around her back. She came up short on the move, but I think me and Coach Brown that were doing the game, we were like, wow, what a move. She was trying to work in the post against Bella to tire Bella out a little bit. And I thought that was a great matchup. There's a lot of one-on-one, a lot of mano. And, if you're a fan, and I am, and, I get the best seat in the house to call the game, we're like, they're going at each other. But I think that all the sisters, and I've seen them play on the Anatelus, they have this calm demeanor about them. They want to play their competitors, but not a lot of emotion. I'm not saying they don't want to win or not competitive. They are. but they're pretty stoic as far as emotions. And they don't get too high or too low, but they play hard. They play very hard. There's no doubt about it. They're very entertaining to watch. We wanted to ask you in a great conversation, Coach. You've been there for so long in that Four Corners area. You know so much about it, and it's important that people know how passionate people are. In that corner area about basketball. You mentioned about Las Cruces last year losing. I think my son did that game 62-60. Tell us more about that game. You mentioned the pit. You're up by 10. Things happen. Sometimes you can go on a run and feel like you can never lose another game in your life. The pit can do that. That's the kind of magic that it is sometimes. And then sometimes that happened to Coach Woody last year at Highland. These two guys from Taos that shot 20%, buried 2 threes. It happens, right? So tell us a little bit more about Las Cruces. My son, the research king, he's an attorney, is always telling me, Dad, this is what I do for a living. And he's the research king, I call him. They did a diamond and 2 on Kapolani and Kamalani, had you seen that before? And I'm sure you had. How did the girls and you as a coaching staff adjust to that?
Well, Sandia threw it at us when we beat Sandia the first district game last year. It was a good game. I think we ended up winning by 16-17. And then when we had to play them there, they did the triangle and 2 on us. And so it frustrated us a little bit. And then we worked on it. And then Las Cruces did the same thing. So we kind of let it get to us. But I felt like Capilani, especially in that overtime, she didn't let him bother her anymore. So just kind of took the game over, and we still came up a little short. But we were up by 3 with, I think, 8 seconds left, maybe. And the Las Cruces girl, she was falling down. Kajani had good defense on her, and she just crossed half court line, threw it up there, and it went in. And that's basketball. Sometimes the ball goes in the hole when it shouldn't, and then times that it should go in the hole, it doesn't. And that happened to us when I was at Bloomfield with Las Lunas. We had some sweet shots that normally would have went in, and it goes all the way in and comes out. So that happens, and that happened to us against Cruces last year. We had some good shots, and it just didn't go in for us at the end when we needed them to. But I felt when we grew from that. It's one of those type of defeats because it's your last game of the year. It kind of stays with you. But I think it helped motivate a lot of my girls too to work harder in the off season and be ready to go. And now we know what the pit's like because we had a lot of young girls that were there that got to play. So like I said, I returned three starters from last year's team, and I had 9 varsity letterman that returned. So this year, most of my girls are going to know what the pit's like, and I think that's going to give us a good advantage. And big thing is just keep your composure and understand, stay focused on your goals, and then just play for one another and not let the atmosphere or the hype of the moment keep you off your game.
And sometimes easier said than done with 16-year-old girls or 15-year-old. My son played there as a junior against Espanola. He played there as a senior, and he made 2 runs down there. That's awesome. But when he was a junior, they played Espanola, and the crowd was sold out. And my son got in the game, I remember, and he said, I didn't even want the ball because, at that time the crowd is, Espanola brings it, right? They bring some people, man.
Oh, they bring it. They bring it.
Anime
we played
loves
there
it.
in 2020 with Holly Payne. That was her senior year. We had to go there in the playoffs, and we won, but it was a packed house. And it was quite a ball game. That was the first round of the state tournament that year.
I thought the other night, going back to that diamond and 2, I thought you tried Farmington. You saw Sandia did the same thing. They kind of blitzed Bella when she crossed half court. And, she had an off shooting night against Sandia on Tuesday night. She had 20, but that's an off night for her, averaging 33.6. Yeah. But, you blitzed her. I think it was 1-2-2, a half court trap. And she was able to split a lot of double teams and even some triple teams. And we mentioned she got some good whistles, and we can sit here and talk about whistles and all day long. And it is what it is. Yeah,
it's part of the game.
Right. But
you just got to deal with it. I tell the girls all the time, you can't worry about things you can't control.
That's
The
right.
two things you can always control is your effort and your attitude. So you got to take care of your attitude and not let things like that get to you. And I think our girls have done a good job of that this year. They have controlled their attitude. And even though I had some girls that fouled out, they weren't sulking or pouting over on the bench. They were cheering and yelling for their teammates staying involved in the game. And that excites me. I mean, even though we came up a little short, I didn't feel bad about it because I just feel like it helped kind of bring our girls together because Bella's a heck of a player. Gary's a heck of a coach, and they're a good team. And we're going to see El Dorado again. I know we are, just like we're going to see Sandia again. We're going to see La Cueva again. So those teams are going to be there. We'll see Hobbs and Volcano Vista again. So for us to achieve our goals, we're going to see those teams, and then we've just got to learn from it and make sure we get better and work on improving our games.
I think my son wanted to ask you about some of your student athletes, and you've got some outstanding ones. Go ahead, Nick.
Coach, Malia Charlie, I was doing some research for your game last year. I read that she had a 4.5 GPA, and I'm sure she's not the only one that excels academically. So just speak to some of the student athletes that you have, Coach.
Malia is definitely one of them. She's a great student athlete, and school comes first for her. She wants to play college ball. She's looking at a school in Oregon that's looking at her also a school in Los Angeles. She wants to continue playing. She's a great teammate. She's one of my captains, her and Capilani. Another one is Catalina Pete. Catalina doesn't start for us, but she guarded Bella a lot the other night. She just gives you everything she has. She stays positive. She says the right things at the right time. She's a good student. I think hers is around a 3.4, 3.5. I've got a junior, Aaliyah Archuleta, that gets varsity minutes. She played some critical minutes for us in the fourth quarter Thursday. She's like a 3.8. So she has all A's and a couple of B pluses, and they really pay a price in the classroom. Talia Woods is another one. She ended up fouling out the other night too, but she's a real good student. So yeah, I have some really good students on our ball club. Karis Dale, who just came back from a sprained ankle. She played limited minutes on Thursday, but she's been starting all year, has had some really big games for us. She's a 4.0 student. She's just a sophomore. So yeah, I have some really good student athletes on the team, and I have great support from the parents who really push, education comes first, and that makes my job easy as a coach, because as a coach, I check every day, every period, make sure they're all in class where they need to be, and we check grades on a weekly basis, and if there's someone who's got a grade down, then we go talk to them, see what we can do to get that grade up. So that is an emphasis in our program, that be a student first, and then the athletic accolades and stuff, that they'll follow suit. But you can always fall back on that education. But a school's not going to touch somebody that struggles in the classroom. Then they're going to waste a scholarship on someone that can't make grades. So we really emphasize that and talk to them about that.
Coach, I wanted to also ask you about your game against Hobbs this year. That game played at Moriarty High School, probably for geographical reasons. I mean, Farmington and Hobbs are in opposite corners of the state of New Mexico, probably a 6 to 7 hour drive if you guys were to have played at one location or another.
It was a good 8-hour drive on the bus. We went there for the tournament, which was a great tournament. We got better from it. But yeah, my AD set that up, which I appreciate, along with their AD. That was good for us. I want to do it again next year. I hope Coach Carpenter wants to do it again too. I asked for him. And I said, "Hey, let's do this again," because that was fun. And we won by 1 point, but it easily could have gone the other way too. So we battled with them just like we did with El Dorado the other night. It was a good battle, and we just happened to come out on top. And I'm hoping we get to play them again. If we do, that means we're where we need to be, because I know they will be.
Yeah. And Coach, you guys, similar styles. I watched a little bit of it on the NFHS network. You guys are both pressing all game long, fairly low scoring game, but you guys like to play up and down. Just kind of talk a little bit more about the matchup.
Yeah, it's a good matchup. And they, like you said, they press, and we want a fast break, and we want to press, and we want to Run, gun, and have fun, so they say. But we want to make sure we're playing some good defense too. And for the most part, our defense has been really good this whole year. I give a lot of credit to Randy Crockett. I made him my defensive coordinator. He was the head boys basketball coach at Bloomfield for quite a few years. He knows the game. He's great with kids. His boys coach with our boys program there at Farmington High School, Matt and Michael. And so they're a basketball family. And Randy played against my brother Lynn in 1978 when Kirtland won that state championship. So I've known Randy a long time, and he came over with me from Bloomfield to Farmington 2 years ago, and I'm really grateful he did. And he's made a big difference on our defensive side of the ball, and he just does really good with the fundamentals, shooting wise, blocking out, everything that we want to get better at. He does that for us, and I really appreciate him being on my staff.
Dad, go ahead.
One more question for you, Coach. Gosh, we sure appreciate your time. You're passionate. You know what I admire? You're passionate about academics. They matter. You know, they matter. And when Coach Nunez, my son, went to Pius, I would always tell him, you ain't here to be no basketball star boy. You know, we'd have that conversation when I was at Hyden. I thought I was there to be a basketball star, and so, and it worked out. And, my son is doing very, very well. I'm very proud of him. But Coach, your road to the pit. The show is called Road to the Pit. You've made some trips, and man, what a place. Gosh, when you run down that ramp, there's nothing like it. No feeling like it. There isn't, and I was able to do it, as a player and as a coach and came down as a broadcaster. I've had great moments at that place as an official, so you never forget it. But, okay, your second place in District 2, Sandia probably has a more favorable schedule. They've got Piedra Vista and West Mesa. You've got La Cueva on Tuesday and Piedra Vista. And you mentioned Joe Reed, heck of a coach, even better guy. What do you have to do to finish the season strong and be in good position for the state tournament?
Well, we want to be playing our best basketball. So Tuesday night's going to be real important in La Cueva. We want to play good ball. And we, Marissa's a heck of a coach, and she's got athletes. Jordan, Eva, her top seven are just legit. All of them. They can play the game. They're very athletic, and they seem to be very coachable. So, I'd love to coach each of those girls. They're good athletes, and they seem like good people. But we got to be ready to play. We got to go in there and take care of business. And then Friday we play PB at our place, and Joe will have them ready. He always does. He's an excellent coach. He'll have them ready for us. And then we got the district tournament. We'll just see where we end up. And so you're right, Sandia, they're in first. So that means they'll get to host the championship game in the district tournament. And we want to be able to play for the district tournament championship and be able to go in there and have a chance to beat them in their house. We haven't been able to do that yet. They last year and this year, they beat us in their home gym. So we've beaten them there at our gym. But now because of us losing to El Dorado, that's probably the likelihood for us if we want to win that district tournament championship. And we do. We want to win every tournament. That's been our goal. We were fortunate enough to win the Albuquerque Academy tournament. That was a really good tournament. And then we came up a little short against Volcano Vista in the semifinals in the Hobbs tournament. So we want to win the district tournament championship, and then we want to win state. So those are our goals. So yeah, we're going to have to work hard. We need to have a good practice tomorrow and watch a little film and see what we can do to get better, and then get out there and work on those things, and then be ready to go Tuesday when we travel to La Cueva High School.
Coach Tom Adair, I'll tell you what, we sure appreciate your time here on the Road to the Pit, a high school journey. And Coach, maybe one more thing before you leave. Sometimes different voices can tell different people different things. Maybe you can tell my son to get a haircut and shave that beard, man, because I've been telling him, I've been after him, and maybe hearing it from you. And
well, my son Josh, he's a coach too, and he had a beard and everything. My wife at night, she said, "Oh, why doesn't he shave it?" And he did on his own. He shaved it and cut his hair. He looks really good. So, but that's something Nick's got to figure out, huh, Nick?
In due time, Coach.
He does.
In due time.
I got about that, but Coach or Nick, you got anything else left for Coach Adair?
No, Coach. Good luck on Tuesday. I'll actually be doing the game, so I'll see you there.
Oh, awesome. I'll look forward to seeing you, Nick. It was great to meet meet both of you. Ed, I've seen you before, so, but it was good to talk to you in this capacity. It's been really neat for me, and I am passionate about what I do. I've been doing this 38 years. I'm hoping to do it another 5 before I retire, and because I do enjoy it, and I do believe I make a difference in kids' lives.
No doubt.
And I want to return the favor that my coaches did for me, because I know they made a difference in my life. My high school coaches, my college coaches. I played college football at Fort Lewis for some really good coaches, and Gary Barnett and Bill Cook, and I really appreciate what they've done for me, and I want to return the favor. And so hopefully a lot of the kids I coach will end up being coaches. Some of them have already. So because I think coaching and teaching is a special job. You know, I feel we do make a difference, and this is a mean world we live in, and we want to teach kids how to deal with the type of pressures that are out there and the struggles that they're going to go through. They've got to learn how to deal with those things and be resilient and do what's right, live true to their values.
Absolutely. Farmington Girls head coach Tom Adair, thanks so much for joining us on Road to the Pit, a high school basketball journey. We'll be back next week with another guest on Road to the Pit.